Hey folks, this is Alan from Important Fun, and I spend a lot of time thinking about, talking about, working on tabletop role-playing games, both as a player and a game master. And so this week, wanted to talk about why I find this such a compelling hobby and something that I devote so much time to. So first, for me, it's a really cool creative outlet. This is something that a lot of people look for in a hobby, something they want to invest their time and energy into. You know, some people play music or write or sew or paint, whatever. For me, D&D and other tabletop role-playing games sort of scratch that itch. You know, whether it's as a game master, sort of like writing campaigns and stuff for my players, or as a player, you know, inhabiting a role and sort of designing this character, something I'm super interested in. These sorts of games are nice because they also build social connections. This is one of the main things that me and several of my really close friends do on a weekly, semi-weekly basis. And, you know, obviously you get this from other games as well. You know, maybe you have a weekly poker game or something like that. But I find that the cooperative nature of tabletop role-playing games really helps bring people together and bind those connections. It's not a coincidence, I think, that people who are now some of my closest friends are people who kind of met through role-playing games. I find it really exciting. Like, that can't be amongst all the like narrative storyline stuff. I also think that it's really exciting to play. There's something about playing everything in your imagination as opposed to just on a video game that it makes it much more active, feel much more invested and involved in it. And, you know, when you're in a like decisive fight in Dungeons and Dragons and you don't know if you're going to make it and then you manage to pull it off, that's a really great feeling. All of this comes together to make it really a unique experience. You know, there are obviously lots of computer-based role-playing games and, you know, lots of other games in general, but the combination of having a live game master, the other players, and then the randomness of the dice kind of mixing everything up and adding new wrinkles into the story and gameplay is something unlike any other. So this is kind of a cop-out to be like, oh, I like it because it's so different from everything else, but it really is. So something I see online on Twitter and stuff quite a bit is people not sure how to get started. And I always try and like, you know, if I see someone on the D&D hashtag asking about this, I try and always reply because it's easier than it ever has been, and I really want to encourage people to get into the hobby. And if you want to get involved like in person, usually the best place to go is your local game store. If you have, you know, a comic book store or game store, this is Tribe Comics and Games, which is probably my favorite game store closest to me in Austin. And a lot of comic and game stores will have a weekly D&D night, doing either sort of like just casual show up and play, or it might be under Dungeons and Dragons official Adventurers League organized play. But regardless, I would just go there and talk to someone behind the counter like, hey, how do I get involved? These store owners know that, you know, if they bring you into the hobby, you're going to drop some serious bucks possibly there. So they're more than happy to help you get started. For some people, that might not be an option. Either they, you know, live in a place that doesn't have stores like that, or for whatever reason they want to go online. I recommend the Roll20.net website. There are quite a few now websites dedicated to playing role-playing games online, and I don't have a whole lot of experience with this. None of them have really been able to replicate that real life experience that I really enjoy. But Roll20 is probably the best place to start, in my opinion. It doesn't require paying anything. It runs in browsers, so you don't even need to download anything. And they also have a lot of features for either looking for a game, and in fact they recently introduced something where you can basically drop into games, kind of whenever, as long as the game masters have enabled that. So, compared to when I was starting out playing these games in like 1994, without the internet and not really knowing what I was doing, it is now easier than ever to connect with people who also want to play, and I can't recommend doing that enough. If you want to know more about role-playing games and Dungeons and Dragons, feel free to check out the other videos here on my YouTube channel or check out my site, importantfun.com. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.